is the 29th of January, the day on which French farmers vowed to besiege Paris. The siege is already in motion. Let's just have a look at the latest visuals. The farmers are closing in on the French capital. Dozens of tractors have occupied a motorway near the city of Beauvais, which leads to Paris. And this is just one of the locations, in fact. The farmers plan to establish 8 choke points all along the major arteries to Paris. The farmers want to close all the ways to the capital city. For how long? Well, they say indefinitely. They have been protesting all through the week. But why are the farmers doing this? They are demanding better prices for their produce and safeguards against cheap and imported competition.
My son, he is no longer motivated like I was at his age. Given all the constraints we have, the paperwork, the checks, they don't have the passion I had at his age. We were going all in. Him, it no longer is the same vision. They no longer have the same vision as we had at their age. And that's a shame because we lose all this love.
This
suffering in the agricultural world has to stop at some point. It frankly disturbs me that people who get up in the morning to feed others, to work, to do their job well, one day end up attempting suicide or put an end to their lives. Behind it, there are family dramas, and I believe that this should no longer exist.
You see, France planned to cut subsidies on agricultural diesel, but seeing the widespread furor, it decided to drop the plan. The French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal tried to calm down the protesters, and speaking at a farm with his speaking notes on a bale of hay, Attal vowed that the government will put agriculture above everything else. But you see, that was not enough to assuage the farmers. They still decided to continue with the planned siege of Paris. And it's not just the capital, by the way. Protests have been raging all over the country. The farmers are fuming. On Friday, they set a truck carrying peppers on fire. They also overturned it with a tractor. You have to watch this for yourself. Others lit a huge bonfire in the southern city of Montpellier. And in the northern French town of Beauvais, demonstrators held a silent gathering to pay tributes to a farmer and her daughter. The two died in the course of the protests as a car ran into a roadblock in the Ariège region. So you see, the protests are not only creating inconvenience, they are also claiming lives. In Montauban, angry French farmers set tires and waste on fire. Now, there are many sides to the issue. The French government is trying to rein in food inflation, but this has left the farmers unable to cover high costs for energy, fertilizers, transportation. The French farmers are arguing that they are not being paid enough and are choked by excessive environmental regulations. And then there are also concerns around imports. The EU has waived quotas and duties on Ukrainian imports since the war started. They don't have to meet the environmental standards as well, which other EU farmers need to. French farmers are resenting the Ukrainian imports for affecting the European prices. And this resentment is on wide display across the country. What is the French government doing about this? So far, it has maintained a tolerant stance and has promised some measures to address the issues within days. But it seems like the people in France have gone rogue. Apart from violent protests, there has also been violent climate activism. 2 activists hurled soup on the world-famous Mona Lisa in the Paris's Louvre Museum. The painting was not harmed thanks to its protective glass, but it was certainly smeared in red soup. The activists shouted, and I quote, "What is more important, art or the right to have a healthy and sustainable food system?" Now, that is one extreme way of raising a point. The visitors at the museum were left angry and confused. Listen in to what they had to say.
It's disgusting to treat art that's really valuable for the history of humankind that way.
Yes, I understand the demands 1,000 times, but on the other hand, when it comes to the link with art, I don't see why they target works of art.
Now, this was not the first time something like this has happened, and unfortunately, it will not be the last time either. This time, it was soup. In the year 2022, the Mona Lisa was smothered in cream. Vincent van Gogh's sunflowers at the London National Gallery also became a victim that same year. But where do we draw the line? How far will people go in the name of activism? WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.